All right, James, let's bring it back home. Because one thing I hear all the time from listeners is this: Trump isn't just one man, he's a movement. But how does that movement evolve in the future? What are we really looking at here?
That's the million-dollar question, Emma. You're right. Trump isn't just an individual anymore. He's the face of a cultural and political wave. And here's the secret most people don't realize. Trump's inner circle has been quietly organizing structures to make sure this wave doesn't disappear, even if he eventually steps aside.
Structures? Like what?
Think of it as a parallel network. You've got PACs and fundraising arms, sure, but also media platforms, legal defense funds, youth organizations, and even training programs for future candidates. They're building what amounts to a shadow Republican Party, one that's completely loyal to the Trump brand.
That sounds massive, almost like creating a new ecosystem.
Exactly, and it's working. Governors, senators, even school board candidates are branding themselves as America First. That's no accident. It's coordinated. Trump knows movements last when you recruit the next generation, and his team is quietly scouting young voices that could carry the torch for decades.
Wow. So it's not just about the next election, but about legacy.
Totally. Trump wants history to remember him not just as a president, but as the guy who reshaped American politics. And he knows legacy is built on infrastructure. Not just buildings with your name on them, but institutions that carry your vision forward.
And how does media play into that? Because we know Trump has a love-hate relationship with traditional media.
Oh, media is central. His team is working on expanding their alternative media footprint, podcasts, digital networks, influencer partnerships. It's about bypassing the gatekeepers and speaking directly to the base. And with new tech platforms emerging, they see an opening to dominate the conversation for years to come.
That's wild. Okay, before we go any further, folks, please, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, and share this episode. We're unpacking stuff that isn't showing up in your nightly news cycle, and the best way to support us is with a simple click.
And Emma, here's something else people don't know. Trump is seriously investing in legacy projects behind the scenes. I'm talking about think tanks, policy institutes, even talks about a Trump Presidential Academy that could one day train conservative leaders. Whether it happens or not, the conversations are real.
That's next level. So we're talking about Trump building not just political power, but an intellectual pipeline?
Exactly. He's seen how movements like Reaganism or the Tea Party faded without institutional backing. He doesn't want that to happen with Trumpism, so he's laying bricks now, figuratively and literally.
That's incredible. Okay, when we come back, we'll dive into what all this means for everyday Americans, how Trump's future plans could shape jobs, freedoms, and even culture. Stick around. All right, James, we've talked global strategy, politics, legacy building, all that big picture stuff. But let's be real, the average American listening right now is probably wondering, how does any of this affect me? My job, my bills, my kids' future? Break it down for us.
That's the most important question, Emma. Because at the end of the day, politics is personal. For everyday Americans, Trump's vision would hit in a few key areas: jobs, cost of living, security, and culture. Let's start with jobs. His plan to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., what he calls freedom supply chains, means more factories in states like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and even the South. That could mean thousands of new jobs for blue-collar workers.
So those old factory towns we've seen struggling for decades could actually come back.
Exactly. We're talking about real opportunities, not just minimum wage gigs, skilled trades, tech manufacturing roles, construction jobs to build new facilities, things that put money back into middle-class families' pockets. That's step one.
And what about inflation? Everyone feels that at the grocery store right now.
Right. Trump's team believes that if you shrink dependence on foreign supply chains, especially China, you cut down on price spikes when the world gets messy. Add to that his tariff strategy, which as people say could actually fund tax relief for working Americans, and you've got a plan to ease some of that pressure families feel at the checkout line.
That would be a game changer. And let's not forget healthcare, always a hot button.
Behind closed doors, Trump's circle is exploring reforms that focus on transparency and competition. One of the big ideas floating around is forcing hospitals to list prices up front. No more mystery billing. Imagine going to the doctor and knowing exactly what you'll pay before you leave. That kind of shift could save families thousands every year.
Wow, that's massive. And what about culture? Because Trump isn't just about economics, he's also a cultural lightning rod.
Absolutely. His movement is about redefining what it means to be American. Expect more emphasis on patriotism in schools, tighter control for parents over their kids' education, and a stronger pushback against what he calls political correctness. Whether people like it or not, this cultural battle is part of the everyday impact his vision brings.
And security, both at home and abroad.
Two things: borders and energy. A secure border means less drug trafficking, less illegal immigration, and potentially safer communities. On energy, Trump wants full independence, drilling, refining, and producing right here at home. For families, that means cheaper gas, more stable heating costs, and fewer shocks when global crises hit.
That's a lot to take in. And folks, before we go to our final segment, let me remind you, if you're enjoying this episode, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this podcast with your friends and family. It means the world to us and keeps this kind of independent conversation going.
Thanks, Emma. And here's the final takeaway for listeners. Trump's future plans aren't just about the next election cycle. They're about a vision of America that's bigger, bolder, and more independent than what we've seen in decades. You may agree with it, you may fight against it, but you can't ignore it. Because if his strategy plays out, it will shape not just politics, but the very identity of America for generations.
And that's exactly why we had to talk about it today. James, thank you so much for breaking this down for us.
Always a pleasure, Emma.
And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share this with your friends and family, and leave us a review. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and stay engaged.